Hi everyone, today we're going to be going through the next round of states here. So this is the Democratic primary for 2024. So obviously we've done the first four states: Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina. Right now let's just go ahead and go through this. So Warren has won Iowa and New Hampshire. Ocasio-Cortez has won Nevada, and Senator Harris has won the state of South Carolina. Andrew Cuomo, we've now projected to drop out of the race at this point in time. But right now, let's go ahead. It's Super Tuesday right now, so let's go ahead and take a look at what this has in store for us. What we're going to actually be doing is we'll go ahead and take a look at the 2020 Super Tuesday presidential states, because for example in 2016 California was not there, so I said we'd use the 2016 primary, but we'll sort of just be using the 2020 primary up until when sort of COVID really started to take control, and we'll be stopping at the Washington. So on March 10th, after the Idaho, Michigan, day, we're going to be going Northern Mariana Islands on March 12th and be following the 2016 primary from those days. And obviously some states go earlier, some states go later, so we'll just try our best to go through all of those. So on the 2020 calendar, Super Tuesday, first state is the state of Alabama. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. In the state of Alabama, we see Senator Kamala Harris doing quite well in Alabama, along with Senator Elizabeth Warren. We also see could do well there. In terms of the remaining 57%, we'll just give Warren a few more, Harris a few more. The remaining 42%, some progressives will obviously go to Ocasio-Cortez, maybe 13% of the delegates. The rest will be split between 15 remaining will be split between something like that, just sort of Harris, and a narrow Harris win, especially if Biden endorses. Maybe you could see something even like that, quite a sort of landslide Harris win there in the state of Alabama. Moving on, let's go ahead and take a look at the American Samoa caucus. I believe this is American Samoa, 6 delegates. We don't really know what's going to happen. Let's just go ahead and take a look. Who won American Samoa? Clinton won in a landslide, so you could see someone like a Harris do well. Maybe Harris gets 2 delegates, Warren gets a delegate, Ocasio-Cortez gets a delegate, something like that. Where you have Harris winning, and then Warren and Ocasio-Cortez splitting that progressive vote, Buttigieg also getting in there a little bit. Moving on to the next state, we have the state of Arkansas. Biden won this. You could see a Harris doing well. You could also see someone like a Buttigieg or a Warren doing well, especially, Warren grew up in Oklahoma. But I'm going to give this one over to Harris with about 35. And then you could see Warren also, jumping in with a few delegates. Ocasio-Cortez getting in there as well. And the remaining 4 delegates, some going to Mayor Buttigieg, 1 they're going to Senator Amy Klobuchar. Moving on to the next state on our list, the state of California. This one's going to be extremely crucial to anyone who wants any hope of carrying the state. And quite frankly, I think all of these candidates actually have a pretty good case to make as to why they could win California, with the exception of Buttigieg and Klobuchar. I think Cuomo could say, New York, California. Maybe the Californians won't want to vote for a New Yorker, but Harris, home state senator, Ocasio-Cortez, carrying that Bernie mantle, Latino voters, and then obviously Warren, that solid progressive in there as well. So I think a lot of these people could do quite well. First, we're just going to start off, it's gone frozen again, so we're just going to need to move this around. There we go. Alright, first we're just going to give, actually Cuomo won't get any delegates, actually, because he would not he would not get 15% of the vote. I was gonna say, you know, Cuomo might get 1% of the vote, so he might get like 2 delegates or something. But Cuomo, obviously, you need 15% of the vote to get in. And I actually think Buttigieg and Klobuchar would both be shut out in California. I think they'll both get close, but both could be shut out in the state of California. So, Senator Warren, I think, could do quite well there, maybe 26% of the delegates. Ocasio-Cortez, I see also coming up there. Senator Harris, some sort of split like this. Harris, Ocasio-Cortez, quite close, and then Warren a bit behind there. Alright, moving on to our next state we've got here, the state of Colorado. This is a progressive state. I see Ocasio-Cortez winning this state, maybe 40% of the vote. Warren also sort of getting in there as well, 23, maybe a bit more, 25% of the vote, 25% of the delegates, sorry, I should say. Harris, you know, nearby again, could get in there a little bit. Buttigieg, Klobuchar also winning some delegates there as well. Maybe I think that could be a bit easier split there for Klobuchar to manage. Okay, moving on. After the state of Colorado, we've got Democrats abroad. So that's the DA there. This one, I'm not really sure. I'm just going to see who actually won in 2016. So Senator Sanders won in 2016. I'm actually not exactly sure who won it in 2020. I believe Sanders also won. So let's just go ahead and take a look. Who won Democrats abroad in 2020? 9 delegates to Senator Sanders. So Democrats abroad, obviously Democrats abroad, you know, used to some of the things that Senator Sanders has been saying. So I think someone like a Warren could do well, someone like an Ocasio-Cortez, especially if he gets Sanders' endorsement. You could see some sort of split like this. Buttigieg could also do well, something like that. And obviously Klobuchar and Cuomo getting shut out of Democrats abroad contests. Moving on to the next state, we have the state of Maine. So this, you've got, you know, Warren could do well, Cuomo could do well, Ocasio-Cortez could do well in terms of regional support, but you could also see Kamala Harris getting in there as well. Biden's VP, it voted for Biden narrowly in the primaries, so this one's going to be interesting. Let's go ahead and give this one over to Senator Warren with about 25%. Ocasio-Cortez also getting about the same amount of support in terms of that. Maybe Warren, this one's, I'm going to say 25 to 20, about that. And then you can also see a bunch of other people also getting in there. So I think Harris, based on just being Biden's VP, could get in. I think Buttigieg doing well in New Hampshire as well. You know, I think a lot of people could actually gain quite a few delegates in that state. So we're going to actually do something like that with Warren winning in the state of Maine. Okay, let's just go ahead, and it's sort of halftime right now. Who's leading right now? Kamala Harris is leading right now with 244 delegates, followed by Ocasio-Cortez with 234. They're very close to each other, followed by Senator Warren with 199, followed by Mayor Buttigieg with 51, and Senator Klobuchar with 29. And most of that's because Buttigieg and Klobuchar got shut out in the state of California. Alright, moving on to our next state, the state of Massachusetts. So again, a lot of these states could sort of go either way between Warren and Ocasio-Cortez. This one, and Harris, sorry. This one I think could be a very close state, obviously in terms of second place. However, given that it is Senator Warren's home state, I know she didn't do well in the primaries, but she's got a bit of momentum now. I'm going to say she gets about 40% of the delegates in her home state of Massachusetts. Ocasio-Cortez getting a bit of that progressive vote, especially given it's quite favourable to Bernie, maybe something like that. And then you could see Harris also getting in there a bit, 17 delegates Buttigieg getting 18 as well. So you could see maybe a bit less for Buttigieg, a bit more for Harris, something like that. Sorry about that. Hi everyone, I'm very sorry about that. My projector cut out and then it said it was stopped recording. So this will be a part 1, part 2 situation that I'll put together later. But right, now we're at the state of Minnesota. So this one I think could be very interesting. Assuming Klobuchar hasn't dropped out, I think that, hometown senator could do quite well in the state of Minnesota. It's sort of more progressive, but I don't see someone like a Warren or Ocasio-Cortez doing all that well, in a sense that they could overtake Klobuchar. But I think Buttigieg could do quite well as well, Harris getting in there. I think this is a state where, despite the sort of progressive tilt, you could see people like Klobuchar gaining a lot of that moderate vote and coalescing it. So 30%, maybe even more than that, 38%. And then you get Warren as well, Ocasio-Cortez in there as well, and then maybe Buttigieg getting a few, and then Harris splitting the difference. So here we've got Klobuchar leading 38, followed by Ocasio-Cortez, then Warren, then Harris, then Buttigieg in the state of Minnesota. Moving on to the next state we've got on our list, the state of North Carolina. Excuse me, this is a state, first let's just go ahead and take a look at the standings right now. Now, Senator Harris is leading with 275 delegates, followed by Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez with 269, then Senator Warren with 249, then Amy Klobuchar with 58, then Mayor Buttigieg with 72, then Senator Klobuchar with 58, then Andrew Cuomo with 6. Alright, moving on to North Carolina. This is a state I think that Senator Harris could do quite well in. I'm going to say given her lead, I'm going to say she gets about 41 delegates there, so pretty good and solid in North Carolina. I think North Carolina's quite a Biden state, and assuming Harris does in fact get a Biden endorsement, I think she could do well. Ocasio-Cortez and Warren, I think maybe they could split a little bit of that vote. I don't know how well they're going to do in a state like North Carolina, though. I think Buttigieg, Klobuchar could also do quite well. So that's sort of the standings where I see the state of North Carolina. Moving on to the state of Oklahoma. This is another primary. This is a state where I can see a lot of these people getting in there and doing well. I think Harris could do well south with the Biden endorsement, possibly getting about 32. I think Warren definitely could get in there, possibly 37 or so. Ocasio-Cortez getting in there with a few delegates, and then, Buttigieg getting the rest. Or maybe Buttigieg gets 3, Klobuchar gets 1, something like that. So that's the state of Oklahoma. Moving on to the next state, the state of Tennessee. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Tennessee. So this one's interesting. I'm going to say Harris takes it, but not by as much as in North Carolina. But, quite similar there. North Carolina, Tennessee, quite similar states. So Harris, I'm going to say 29, maybe, 32. Warren getting in there, Ocasio-Cortez getting in there with that Bernie endorsement. Buttigieg, Klobuchar as well. So you can see a lot of people sort of getting a few delegates. Klobuchar, that electability case could get her a few delegates there in the state of Tennessee. Moving on to the state of Texas, this is a big one, and the person who wins this, if the same person wins Texas and California, they're probably going to go on and be the nominee. So, state of Texas. We're going to go ahead and give this one to who I see as maybe an underdog to take Texas. We're going to actually give this one as a very, very close one, but I'm going to say Warren, Ocasio-Cortez, and Harris are all going to be very close in the state of Texas. But out of those three, I'm actually going to give Ocasio-Cortez an edge, given that sort of more, maybe slightly, more, somewhere between the centrist and progressive lanes in the Democratic Party as a state. Warren gets in there a bit as well, Kamala Harris a little bit, but something like that, very close between Ocasio-Cortez and something like that, and then Buttigieg getting a few delegates as well. So something like that sort of split, right? Warren with 21, Ocasio-Cortez with 35, Harris with 34, so Ocasio-Cortez narrowly winning, Buttigieg with 19, and that's it. So I'm just going to have a sip of my water, please. Alright, okay, in the state of Utah, we've just got 3 more states here. State of Utah, this is a state where, I mean, you know, you can see Ocasio-Cortez has won Nevada and Colorado. Utah's an interesting one. I think Utah could go to someone like a Warren, but also could go to Ocasio-Cortez. I'm going to say 9-10 in favor of Ocasio-Cortez, Harris getting in there a bit as well, Buttigieg getting 2, something like that, where you've got Ocasio-Cortez and Warren quite close, followed by Harris closely behind, then Buttigieg Klobuchar splitting that difference. So that's the state of Utah. Let's go up to Vermont. This one's going to be interesting. Hometown battle, Warren and Ocasio-Cortez, and I think whoever Bernie endorses between Warren and Ocasio-Cortez is going to eventually win the state. So I'm going to say Bernie probably at this point endorsing Ocasio-Cortez, Warren getting in there a little bit, and then 2 delegates left could go to Kamala Harris. So it's some sort of split like that, with the remaining holdouts in terms of centrists probably coalescing around Harris. So, and we have one more state, the state of Virginia. This one I see definitely going to an establishment candidate, and maybe it's not Harris, but I think Harris will do well in a state like Virginia, but I also see, you know, Buttigieg getting in there as well. I see people like Klobuchar, you know, getting in there as well. I don't see the progressives doing all that well. 30% of the vote is left, so maybe Warren gets 20, Ocasio-Cortez, gets 20. Mind you, Warren does quite well with sort of affluent, you know, voters, which, you know, vote in high proportion in Virginia. So I think a lot of these people could do well. Maybe Harris goes down a bit, maybe something like that, maybe a little bit less. Mind you, I think the progressives with a Bernie endorsement would probably coalesce around Ocasio-Cortez. So it's sort of really close in Virginia. That's going to be a big one to watch in 2024. But that's the end of Super Tuesday. Let's take a look at the standings right now. In first place with 465 delegates is Senator Kamala Harris. In second place with 432 delegates is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. In third place with 376 delegates is Senator Elizabeth Warren. In fourth place with 139 delegates is Mayor Pete Buttigieg. In fifth place with 94 delegates is Senator Amy Klobuchar. And in sixth place with 6 delegates is Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York. So before the next episode, we're just going to do something just quickly. Right now, we're going to assume after Super Tuesday, we're going to actually assume that Buttigieg and Klobuchar both drop out of the race. So that's what we're going to assume after Klobuchar wins her home state. We're going to assume both of them drop out of the race. Let me just double check. How far away is Indiana from Super Tuesday? It's quite a long way away. I was thinking maybe if it was just round the corner, Buttigieg might want to stay just to see if he can win his home state, but 139 and 94 is not enough to get you the nomination, so we're going to assume they both drop out. We're not going to give their delegates to anyone else at this point. That will happen at the end at the convention, along with taking a look at super delegates as well. So toss-up is 32-38. So tomorrow we'll be taking a look at Idaho, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, and Washington. Then we'll move over to the 2016 calendar, and we might also take a look briefly at some of these other states that that weren't voted, did vote in 2016 up here. Places like Georgia, places like Kansas, Louisiana, Nebraska. Those will go with the Northern Mariana Islands, and then continue on later. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Good night.